Hello everyone. So today I want to talk about a webtoon that I really feel like is underestimated in the constant world of webtoon. With the rise of super popular webtoons such as Siren's Lament, My Giant Nerd Boyfriend, and Unordinary, I feel like this webtoon just gets left in the dust compared to all the other webtoons that are out today. The name of the webtoon is called Dice, and hopefully in this video I will have convinced you to either read this webtoon or I just give you a little more insight about what makes this webtoon absolutely amazing. So let's begin with what Dice is. Dice is a webtoon created in 2013 by Yoon Hong Seok. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that wrong, and has been ongoing up until the present day. It is in its season 3 at chapter 185 and currently has a following of 1.3 million people, which again is not bad. But as compared to the following fun Unordinary, Tower of God, Noblesse, and the list goes on, it's kind of underwhelming to say the least. Dice is a story about a young character by the name of Dongtae. Dongtae, from the moment he's been into school, has been getting bullied, up to the point where he is called the bread shuttle. The bread shuttle is basically, quick fact, it's just someone who is basically a slave or servant to the other students. So they bully this kid, and this kid gives them stuff and does whatever they want. This is basically the bread shuttle. It's still bullying, but that's just what they call it in the series. Since Dongtae has been bullied all his life, he feels that his life is never going to change. There's also an underlying theme of this webtoon that your life was already predestined from birth and that you really can't do much to change that as it is. In addition, he is in love with their school's idol, Injo, who from the very beginning seems like she was born with everything: looks, personality, talent, etc. Dongtae's life will change very quickly when he meets a new transfer student by the name of Taeban. And again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing these wrong. I don't speak Korean very much. Taeban seems to have everything the same as Injo, which is looks, talent, skills, personality, you name it. Taeban even goes to the point where he starts to date Injo just because he really could. One day, Taeban confronts Dongtae and tells him that what if he could change all these things about himself? What if he can be popular? What if he can teach these bullies a lesson? What if all of this was as simple as playing a game? What would you do? So he gives him a dice, which is not an ordinary dice. It's a dice that actually can treat your body as if it's a game. These dice have specific functions, but their functions become a little more complex as the story goes along. Trust me, it's worth reading. And these dice have the ability to change or actually really add attributes about yourself that you normally wouldn't have, almost as if you were leveling up in a game. With this new attribute leveling power and with this ability to get as many dice so long as he completes quests similar to a game, Dongtae quickly becomes from a bread shuttle to a very, very popular person. This all falls short when the dice spread and chaos will start to ensue. Pretty soon, the happy-go-lucky life that Dongtae thought he could have will kind of turn into a battle royale fight for survival to get the final die, which if you don't know what it is, I won't spoil it for you in case you want to read the webtoon. Dice is kind of similar to The Gamer, which I have talked a little bit about. But however, the difference between Dice and The Gamer is that Dice really takes a darker turn about gaming, whereas The Gamer really shows a lighter, more comedic side of games. And this is really interesting because this dark side of games is coupled by hierarchy and underlying themes about social status and power, which really strengthens the story and which really strengthens the plot of this webtoon, I believe. I think if it's one thing that has me interested about Dice and about its issues with hierarchy and social status, it would be one chapter that really explained why Dice came into the world. You see, before I begin with the passage, dice are created or are governed by a character named X. X is shrouded in mystery, which I will say it is revealed in the later chapters very quickly. But he governs the dice and he governs how they flow. And basically, he points out that his job kind of is to make sure that they spread. But it was from this chapter, and I won't give it away because I want you to read it, that really got me thinking. And it really was such a powerful passage. And it went as follows: do not think that have come to bring peace upon the earth, for I bring not peace, but a sword. And this last panel, if you will, in this webtoon really is when things start getting extremely interesting and extremely powerful. And from here on, the battles of hierarchy, social status, and power start to begin. The most powerful questions that dice has to offer is the question of, should dice exist in this world or not? Because in this world, a lot of people have benefited from dice, whereas there's one character who was really, really an unattractive character and became extremely beautiful thanks to the power of the die. But on the other flip side of the coin, the dice has started to make people kill each other just for this quest and thirst for power. So it really brings this interesting question of if dice are really good for the world, or are they really bad? But no matter if they're good or bad, X just sees this all as a game, and he's going to have people continue to play in this game as long as they are willing to play in this game. When I think about the webtoon dice, I'm reminded about an anime that I recently just watched, and I wanted to cry and jump off a bridge when I did. The anime is called Osama Game, which, if you haven't known, is about a bunch of people who are battling for survival in a weird cell phone-like game. But I bring this up because it tried to touch on the theme of underlying power, of status, of this thirst for human survival. It just did it very, very poorly. And I feel like that's what dice does. Dice really questions and really challenges this human survival, this quest for power, this thirst for status. And it displays it out in this webtoon. And it really gets you thinking about, all of these factors and if they are worth. I feel if Osama Game took from dice just a little bit, I'm pretty sure it would have been a way better anime than it was, because it was quite terrible, actually. The final thing I want to talk about is the characters, because the characters are very, very important to how webtoon really works in its dystopian-like world. Take a look at Dante, who benefited from the dice. Mainly, he was one of the first dice users in their school. I like Dante's character development because it did go from a wimpy bread shuttle to a very developed character who is powerful both physically and mentally. I admit that there are a lot of things that he just doesn't understand, and I feel like there are a lot of things that just happen to him so quickly. But as far as his role in the webtoon and what he has to do, he has been pulling through that very, very well. No matter what adversity has come, no matter what has this mysterious X character has brung, he has been able to maintain his confidence and try to save the day every once in a while. The thing with Dante's character I kind of like is similar to characters like Jihan Jin from Gamers or the 25th Bam from Tower of God. Whereas these characters are very overpowered, but to see their journey from when they were very weak to the point where they get overpowered, I feel like it fits for a better story, and it gives me something to watch and enjoy. You see that a lot in Dante as he just develops more and more as a powerful dice user, and more as a powerful mental character. Let's take a look at Inju. Inju basically is the girl that Dante originally likes, and for the most part, she seemed out of his reach. Unfortunately, Inju basically was looking through this war of dice with her own eyes, and it kind of disturbed her, and she doesn't really understand why. But which I find really interesting, because the webtoon kind of points out that Enju, since she was born with everything, that she doesn't possibly know what these other people are fighting for dice for. Because a lot of people are fighting to change their appearance. They're fighting to get stronger. They're fighting to become smarter. They're fighting to have things that they normally wouldn't have, which kind of sucks because, especially in a high school like society, basically how smart, how pretty, or how tough you are does depend on your popularity and your function in social society. But seeing Enju's character from experiencing the world of dice with her own eyes to where she is now, which I won't spoil it just in case you want to read it, is quite interesting. It's something that I didn't really expect from her, but thinking about it now, I understand why it had to happen. I will say this about Taben, in that like his role is much larger than even he realized, and he's just a pawn in a game. I will say that for the most part. But again, seeing his character development, well, up until the points where he is not in the current chapters, was quite interesting because the role that he played was too large for him to even comprehend. And him just like realizing that, and him just like playing in this game unconsciously, I feel like really developed him quite a bit because he was unconscious about his actions the whole time. And then let's take a look at Mio. Mio is basically the girl that likes Dante, and stuff happens between the two of them. Again, I won't spoil it for you if you want to read it. And Miyu is the primary example of why dice are a blessing to their world. You see, Mio was extremely ugly and she was extremely unattractive, well, to a lot of people. And so she used the power of the dice to change that, which is kind of funny because she liked Dante from the very beginning, even before her old form. But Dante was so into Enju that he didn't even notice. And maybe that's also because too, Enjo was prettier and she really wasn't. But the point is, she used these dice to change herself. And she's very happy that she used this dice to change herself. She often really wonders, like, is dice necessary? Because she was able to use dice to change herself. And a lot of people use dice to change themselves in this webtoon. My point is, in a weird way, is that much like a lot of stories, you have to have good, well-rounded characters that develop. And this webtoon certainly has that. The fight with hierarchy, social status, and power are kind of translated into these characters and how they think and function as a whole. Each character has a different view about dice and about the world around them. And again, it's just quite interesting to see this up close with and personal as we get to really dive deep into the psychic conscience of this webtoon. Dice is not for everyone. Like, if you're not a big fan of like dark themes and this kind of dark humor, which it has, then I wouldn't recommend it for you. But if you're looking for something new to read, or if you're looking for something that really challenges the current problems of the planet, then I definitely would recommend that you give this one a read. Dice is available on Line Webtoons as a free-to-read webcomic. The series currently spans 185 chapters over a period of 3 seasons. If you want to read Dice, since hopefully this video has convinced you to read it, I will leave a link in the description below. Well, that was all. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully I've convinced you to read the comic. I will upload more in the future. The final thing I just want to point out, if you've gotten to this point, is that Crunchyroll is still doing their voting for their anime of 2017. So if you're a big anime fan, hopefully you are, I will leave a link in the description below of that as well. And don't forget to just vote for your favorite anime, manga, favorite category, and show your anime some love and support it deserves. With that being said, I thank you for watching for whatever point you got to, and have a great day.